Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Not Moving In the True Off My Chest subreddit. The post is titled, "My BF and I were supposed to move in together. 2 weeks ago, he bought an 87K truck without telling me. I refused to move in with him. I am very annoyed. He didn't even speak to me about it. We had so many discussions about moving in together and getting married, and then he goes and purchases a truck that costs $87,000. $2K more than his yearly salary. If you are wondering how a truck can cost 87 grand, that is the price you get when you add every option you want. He showed me the truck expecting me to be excited and I was livid. When he bought this truck, we were only a month away from moving in together. We got into a bad argument where he told me it was his money and he could do whatever he wanted with it. So I said fine and told him I was not comfortable moving in with him anymore. I asked my landlord if my apartment was still available and if I could renew my lease, and they said yes. Now my boyfriend is saying he cannot afford his place and his truck. I do not feel bad. He should have thought of that before buying something so expensive without talking to his girlfriend of 2 years. I have had some of his friends' girlfriends reach out to me and say I should support him, with one even claiming that I am not loyal and that this shows I would not support him if we were married since I run away when finances get bad. That is nonsense. He did not lose his job or get hurt. He bought an expensive item without discussing it with me. I have been trying to get him to return the truck because it is already affecting his finances badly. He has only had this truck for 2 weeks, and he is worried that in the next month or two, he will not be able to cover all the expenses he usually has. This past weekend, we had another argument, and I think our relationship is going to end. I am not helping him pay for this truck, and I am not moving in with him. I have asked for a break and will be thinking about what to do. Edit, I appreciate the different opinions everyone has given me. I have a lot to think about. To answer 2 questions, no, he does not need the truck. He works from home, and if he has to check in at work, he has an office. Also, his friends and their girlfriends know about this issue because he asked for their views when we went to a gathering last week. Only 2 girlfriends reached out to me to say I was not being supportive. The others have minded their own business. First off, it was pretty irresponsible for the boyfriend to get such a vehicle with the salary he had, but it is even worse when he is expected to contribute to payments such as rent. I am sure most people know that a lot of issues in serious relationships stem from finances. After reading this story, it kind of just gave me some anxiety learning that OP's boyfriend is not able to pay for his truck or rent. This is a major issue that one needs to consider if they are going to seriously continue a relationship with someone. Of course, with work and discipline, this reckless spending can be calmed down, but that is easier said than done. I do not blame the OP at all for not wanting to move in with her boyfriend at the moment. User AQ said, "Good job recognizing a bad situation when you see one. This man fully expected you to supplement his lifestyle after moving in together. All of his money would have gone to paying for that truck, leaving you stuck with the lion's share of the bills. And that is why he is panicking now. Stay in your own apartment." To this user, nobody, no crime said, and he had the audacity to say that it was his money and he could do what he wanted with it, knowing full well he would have to live out of the truck if OP did not supplement his expenses. This really tells you what he thinks about OP's money. What an entitled person. I would end the relationship immediately. User Nicholson Girl said, "When finances get bad must really mean you won't cover the costs when he is irresponsible and makes poor financial decisions. It is his money, but he is already struggling to afford things now. If for some reason he becomes unable to work, he will not only expect you to pay your portion of the bills, but also his hefty truck payment. Do not move in with him and do not combine incomes. He has shown that he is impulsive and has issues with reckless spending." User Shame the Devil said, "The minute he expected you to help finance his life, it ceased to be his money. You absolutely did the right thing. That man was going to use you to pay for his expensive truck. Ask your friends' girlfriends if they want to give up their lives to finance his mistakes, because you certainly will not and should not. It will only get worse if you enable him. He would be coming home with a Ferrari next." Update. Yes, I broke up with him mainly because I realized that we are not financially compatible. Before I go into what happened, I want to clarify something. I understand we were not married, but we were both moving in together into a new place and had several discussions about this move and our plans for the future, including marriage. For the people private messaging me saying it is his money and he can do whatever he wants, or that I am only 2 years into a relationship and not a wife. I know that, and I have never asked about what is in his bank account or told told him what to do financially. I am aware it is his money, but I also know his financial situation. He was making decisions without my input that, if we were to stay together, would not only affect him, but also our relationship and our financial situation for years to come. I will stand firm on this. This is not okay. If it is okay for you, that is fine. But for me, if we make a financial plan and you make a huge decision without me, I will not be okay with it. This is a big reason why I backed out of moving into a new apartment with him. I would have never made a decision like this without his input at all. The main reason we decided to move in together was to take the next step in our relationship and to pay down our debts. I now have $22K in debt from student loans and a car. When I met him though, it was around $60K, and I was basically living on credit cards. Within the first couple of months of us dating, I saw how hard he worked. With a salary of $85K, he was making huge progress in paying off his loans and credit cards. At the time, I was only making $50K. I honestly admired his work ethic and thought, wow, which motivated me to get serious about my debt. I took on a second part-time job where I was making $32K a year, bringing my total salary to $82K. I did that so that I could pay off my debts faster and so that we could be on equal footing when we moved in together. He would not have to pay significantly more in living expenses than me when he had more debt. We created a complete budget months before we moved in together and realized that we would each have $700 extra a month to put toward our own individual budgets. This is why the purchase of this truck was so surprising to me. We had planned this move for months. We had a budget and he destroyed that plan with the truck. If he wanted a new car, there were plenty of options that would have fit into the $700 monthly surplus he had. Anyway, for the past few days before we broke up, he tried to convince me that this truck was a good financial purchase and that we could still move in together. He told me he had actually budgeted for this and could show me how he could afford it. I wanted to hear him out, so I went to his place where he had two budgets prepared. He said he had been thinking about getting this truck for some time and had worked out a budget beforehand. He showed me the first budget, and after accounting for his truck payment, insurance, expenses, and debts, he was left with $115 for the month. I noticed that in this first budget, he did not include groceries, his hobbies, going out, or even gas for his car. I asked him how $115 was enough to live on for an entire month. When I asked how he could afford all of this along with his truck payment and if he planned to give up some things, he said no. He did not plan to give up anything and insisted he could make everything work within his budget. When I asked what would happen if he had an emergency or needed gas for his truck, he just kept saying he would work it out without explaining how. After I saw the first budget, I asked to see the documents for the car, and that is how I found out the truck's total price was $95,000 after taxes, registration, and fees. He traded in his reliable 2003 Toyota and used all his savings to secure a loan at 14% for 72 months. His monthly payment is now around $2K and insurance is $500. He also still has significant student loans. I kept telling him that $115 left over monthly was not enough. That's when he showed me his second budget, which had a combined higher monthly income. I asked him if he was getting a second job, and he said that due to his job relying on him to be on call, he could not. When I asked where the additional income was coming from, this man said, "Well, you're getting a raise soon." I froze because I had mentioned this raise once months ago. My first job is my career job, and I work in a field where when you hit certain milestones, you receive a pay increase. In September, if my raise is approved, I will go from $50K to $80K, and with my second job, my total yearly income will be $110K. However, getting the raise is not guaranteed. You have to meet certain criteria, and if you do not meet them, you must wait 3 months before trying again. When he said that, I was quiet for a moment and then said, "So you planned a budget that included additional income that I would not receive for at least 6 months and income that I might not even get in September." He responded that when I got my raise, the ratio of what he would pay would decrease and he would have more disposable income. I asked him why it was acceptable for him to plan budgets based on my income while I had no say in how he spent his own money. He could not answer that. I told him I had no issue with paying more bills if I received a raise, but the fact that he relied on that without discussing it first and now expects me to be okay with this is ridiculous. I also pointed out that there was no way I would not be paying more with the first budget, because he would not have been able to survive on $115. I told him he did not communicate effectively and that this situation was on him because he made significant financial plans without discussing anything with me. Finally, I said I would never have made such decisions without consulting him first because I thought we were a team building something together. I ended things the next day and he has been trying to reach out, but I am not interested. He has financially crippled himself with this truck. If he could barely make it with my current income, he certainly is not managing on his own. I really hope things work out for him and that he can keep his truck and recover, but I am not going to pay the consequences for such a massive financial mistake that will affect him for years to come. If I were to stay in the relationship, this financial decision would affect me as well and continue to impact both of us for years. Again, this is different from becoming ill or losing a job. He chose this path and refuses to budge or fix it. I now realize we are not financially compatible, and that is okay. I wish him the best. Edit, thank you everyone for all the support. I do not hate my ex. I genuinely hope he is able to recover from this situation. It was such a learning lesson for me about how one mistake can ruin you financially. It has made me even more cautious, but also determined to keep working toward a better financial future for myself. Update 2. Hi everyone, a few months ago I posted about a situation I was dealing with regarding my ex and him buying a car without telling me. I really doubted myself when I first made that post because I received such strong negative reactions from others about my desire to back out of the move. I appreciate the comments I received not only on the post but also through private messages. They really helped solidify for me that the feelings I had about the situation should not be ignored. So thank you all for responding. It saved me financially. Looking back at the situation now, months later, I can see that I was being set up to be financially abused. When I broke up with my ex, I thought we were financially incompatible, and unfortunately, it took this large purchase for me to realize it. But now I see that's not the whole story. My ex made a plan in his head, and what made sense to him was for me to pay most of the expenses. He thought this was acceptable and that I should be okay with it too. Even though I can see the reality of what he was trying to do, I cannot hate my ex because he helped set me on a path to examine my finances. I remember when we first started dating and I went to pay for an item, but my card was declined. Without batting an eye, even though it was a little embarrassing, I took out another card and paid. I was used to this happening occasionally because I was literally living paycheck to paycheck. I'm not criticizing anyone who finds themselves in that situation. However, at that time, I was living well above my means. I would justify every single want and purchase it, thinking that because I was making minimum payments on time, I wasn't as bad off as others. When the situation with my card happened and we got back to my ex's car, he kindly asked if this type of thing happened all the time. I told him sometimes and he offered me advice. He did not try to force me to stop spending. Instead, he suggested that I track my purchases and recommended a few apps. During the first 2 months we were seeing each other, he would encourage me every few days to track what I spent while shopping as usual, but to keep a record of everything. Being able to see how much I was spending, especially when broken down into categories, was astounding. There was 1 month when I spent $68 on bagels. It wasn't for work or for other people, it was just me stopping at a bagel place every morning and getting a bagel. Sometimes I'd get variations, which is why the total cost was so high. Once I realized how much I was spending on unnecessary things, my ex helped me create a plan that worked for me, and that plan has continued to work consistently. I've added to it and tweaked things as my financial situation has improved, and so far, so good. This is why I don't have any negative feelings toward my ex. He never pressured me to pay bills in front of him or looked at credit card statements or apps, nothing like that. He only encouraged me to examine my finances and improve them. He helped give me the foundation to start managing my finances effectively. I thought in my head that we were on the same page regarding finances. Because he was such a stickler for budgeting and so frugal, his truck purchase came as a complete surprise to me. It was unplanned, not discussed, involved a large amount of money, and given his general level of debt, there is no way he could afford this truck without significant financial strain. I'm not trying to paint my ex as a saint, I am simply explaining why he had such a positive impact on me financially. So, when the truck purchase happened and he refused to budge, I was honestly shocked. Seeing how bad this situation was, I had to walk away. It's been about 6 months since everything happened, and I am doing very well. I recently paid off my student loans last month. I now only have my car left, which means I have a few $1,000s left to pay. I also have a small savings account. Because of that, I have changed my focus and am putting the majority of my income toward paying off my car. I'm not rich by any means, but I am definitely living within my means, and I'm okay with that. The last two things I want to update you on are my raise and my ex's truck. I had a few people message me about the raise, and unfortunately I did not receive it due to a big mistake I made on a project. Once I realized the mistake, I knew it would jeopardize my chances for the raise because it happened so close to my evaluation. However, I fixed the mistake, and when I get reevaluated in 3 months, I am hopeful that I will receive it this time. Losing the possibility of the raise made me realize even more that I made the right decision because I would be in a very difficult position right now if I hadn't ended my relationship. Regarding my ex, we have spoken only once. That was when we broke up. I cut off communication completely because he was still trying to fix things without addressing the truck and the fact that he was keeping it. From someone close to him, I learned that 4 months after we broke up, he voluntarily surrendered the truck. I also know it is gone because he deleted all the pictures he had of it. I was actually relieved to hear that for him because hopefully he can start to fix the situation he got himself into. I genuinely want the best for my ex. While I do not know what thought process led him to get this truck or what influenced him, I hope he can get back on track and make improvements. The relationship is finished and there is no hope of rekindling anything. Even though he returned the truck, I could never go back to him because the trust is gone. It wasn't only about the money, it was also about him making such a vital decision without me, expecting me to go along with it, and then vilifying me when I expressed valid concerns. I can't move past that. Yes, money isn't everything, but I can't stop thinking about what my life would be like now had I stayed. My student loans would not be paid off. We would both be broke and in worse financial positions. All of these factors would have negatively affected our relationship and made it unhealthy. I am glad we broke up and I have forgiven him for what he tried to do to me. I stand by the view that financial issues can be a deal breaker, especially when your partner isn't listening to you and makes decisions that will affect both of you. If you don't agree, that's fine. These last few months have proven this point to me. So that's my somewhat lengthy update. Again, thank you all for responding to my first post. Honestly, I was leaning towards staying with him and not moving in together, and in the long run, that decision would have financially devastated me and left me feeling taken advantage of. The different opinions I read made me realize how bad not only the situation was, but also how much worse it could have become. A very small humble brag. I posted my paid in full student loan email on my profile, so if you want to see that, you can click on that post, but you don't have to. Sorry, I'm just so proud of that accomplishment. This next post was made by a user named Guilty Pollution in the same subreddit. The post is titled, "My GF came out as lesbian before our marriage and no gives a f about me. My ex Dana and I were together for 7 years and I knew she was bisexual from the beginning. She openly told me about her past relationships with women, but I never cared because it wasn't a problem for me. We never had any major fights or arguments, just small disagreements, and we always managed to sort everything out. After 7 years in the relationship, I decided it was the right moment to ask the big question because we were deeply in love, financially stable, and already living together. For me, it felt like the right time. I prepared everything to make the proposal as romantic and unique as possible, and when I finally asked her, she hesitated but then said yes. That is where the problem started because I did not understand her hesitation. When I asked her about it, she simply replied, "I was nervous, so I let it go." We shared the news with her parents and our friends. However, even here, something felt off because her parents pretended to be happy, and I did not understand why while our friends were genuinely excited and already suggesting ideas for our wedding. 4 months went by as we planned our wedding when the day arrived. I came home from work to find her waiting for me with her bags packed. When I asked what was going on, she told me, "Listen, I know this is going to be hard for you, but I'm not bi. I'm a lesbian. My parents have known this for 2 years, which is why they weren't happy and were faking it. Please, I beg you not to make this difficult. Just let me leave. Don't cry, don't beg me, and don't scream. Let's handle this like adults." Then she drove away. I stood there in shock for about an hour because I couldn't believe what had just happened. We had been planning to get married and now Dana had come out as a heartless stranger that I couldn't recognize. The worst part came next. 3 months have passed since that day and literally no one has reached out to me. No texts or calls asking how I am or if I'm okay. Not her parents, not Dana, and not even our friends. No one seems to care about me at all. During these 3 months, I've been hospitalized 3 times due to weight loss and insomnia. I just work and come home. That's all I do. While everyone praises her for coming out, how brave she is for finally realizing she is a lesbian, and how courageous it is to be herself after years of searching for her true identity, I feel completely invisible. Right now, I'm not even capable of being angry. I'm just in disbelief over what happened, how quickly everything changed, and that no one seems to care about me because her coming out is deemed more important than my feelings as her ex. You know what? Forget them all. They have shown me their true colors, and forget my ex. Edit, what the heck. I just turned off my phone for 2 hours and went for a walk around my city. Honestly, I wasn't expecting all this support because I couldn't imagine anyone actually reading this. Believe me, I want to trust you all and believe that these kind comments are genuine, but right now I can't. I've seen everyone who was supposed to love me ignore me completely. I've lost hope in people, especially strangers on the internet. I hope to return here in a few months to read this all again and believe in you all again, but right now it's hard for me. You all seem like good people who are sincere. However much I want to trust you, I simply can't right now. But thank you all anyway. I'm not okay. During those 3 hospitalizations, I've tried to take my own life, but haven't succeeded even at that. For 3 months, I've questioned myself repeatedly. Am I the problem? What could I have done better? What did I do wrong? But nothing changes. So here I am in the middle of nowhere, sitting on a sidewalk like a homeless person, reading comments from strangers on a post that I'm not even sure why I posted in the first place. Again, thank you all. User Agile Wait said, I'm so sorry to hear how you were deceived and how no one showed you any sympathy. For your own mental health, you need to put all of these people behind you. They are not going to give you what you need. It will be hard, but you need to start rebuilding a new life for yourself. You can do it. A deleted user said she did not address her problem like an adult. Instead, she avoided it and then ran away like a child. It is deplorable. User Behold My Toast said you did nothing wrong, and her actions were incredibly selfish, cruel, and awful. As soon as she realized she was a lesbian, she should have ended the relationship. She wasted a minimum of 2 years of your life while knowing for sure that she was a lesbian, and she strung you along. Nothing makes that behavior acceptable. It will get better. Give yourself the time you need to grieve and heal. Be kind to yourself and treat yourself well. Don't rush the healing process. You will be okay. Update. So here we go again, but this time it is more painful and shocking because a lot has happened today and last night. As some of you mentioned, one of my ex-friends saw my post on TikTok and the absolute mess started, and it is still going on right now. This ex-friend, who I'll call Paul, reached out to me and basically told me that he saw the post and recognized me because I used my ex's real name. He was shocked to learn what really happened because apparently Dana told my ex-friends that she came out to me as a lesbian and that I tried to lay hands on her and threatened her. She also told them not to contact me again. They all believed her, but when they saw my post, they started pressuring her to confirm whether it was true or not, and she eventually admitted the lie. Since Paul's text, I have received a ton of messages and calls from everyone asking how I am, if I'm okay, expressing their apologies for believing Dana without contacting me first. But then there is the real issue, Dana. She texted me asking for my forgiveness, saying she was sorry for how badly she treated me, and admitting that she made everything up because she was afraid of losing friends. Unfortunately, it doesn't end there. I also received a text from her girlfriend who expressed her regret for Dana's behavior and what she did. Here comes the issue. Mary said she has known Dana for a year and that Dana never told her about me but always referred to me as a roommate, which led Mary to consider leaving Dana. Now comes my part. I created a new group chat including them all and told them that I am not changing my mind about forgiving them. I mentioned that I was considering suing Dana and stated that if my ex-friends were decent people, they would have reached out to me to ask if I was out of my mind for laying hands on Dana, or at least insulted me via text if they truly cared about me. Then I added some personal comments about Dana and blocked them all. My blocking method isn't working because they continue to harass me with texts and calls from different numbers, even getting other people to contact me. Crazy things are happening and I still can't believe this mess. It feels like a nightmare from which I need to wake up, but unfortunately it's all true. On another note, I finally saw a therapist today and I don't like to admit it, but I cried a lot. For her, I realized that I never worked through the deaths of my parents and my sister, and then this situation with my ex added to everything, making me feel overwhelmed. It's going to be a very long journey, but I hope to reach a better place. I had the therapist number on my kitchen table for a while, but never called until now. Hopefully, this will help. So this is all for now, and I hope to update you not too quickly like now, but when I feel better. Again, thank you all, and hopefully I will have better times to share in the future. To everyone following me, thank you. My life is pretty boring right now, so I don't think I'll be posting much else. You're not obligated to follow me. To those who have messaged me privately, thank you all. Please know that I've read all your messages and I appreciate your support. Thank you again. Final update. A month has passed since my first post, and here I am again. I know I promised to return when things got better, and I hoped for that very much, but unfortunately, my life isn't better at all, and things are always worse than I expected. I'm going to talk as if I am speaking with my therapist because, in a way, you all feel like my therapists. You know, I'm not an expert on therapy or these things, and I hoped that in a short time, things would change and make me feel better. However, it has been more difficult and longer than I imagined. I cry every day about everything that has happened to me, the deaths of my parents and my little sister, what happened with Dana, and how my friends betrayed me so easily as if I were just a random person. The worst part is about Dana. After my parents' deaths, I put all my attention and importance on her. She was like my promise of having a new family and starting a new life together. For all these years, I tried my best to make her feel loved, happy, and cared for. What may not come across in my previous posts is how much I loved her and how deeply I cared about her. Dana was the only person in this world who knew me 100%, and she was truly my soft spot. After my retirement from the army, she was the one who saw the real me after those years of risking my life. When I met Dana, it was love at first sight. So yes, call me naive for still believing in fairy tales, but I really thought she was the one for me and that she could finally help me realize my dream of having a family that I lost. The hardest thing this past month was finally changing my number and starting over. Many times I thought about calling her, texting her, or even seeing her again because despite all this mess, I still care for and love her. But then I remember how poorly she treated me and I changed my mind. Still, her presence lingers in my thoughts. I miss those little things we did together. I miss Dana being messy and a little goofy around me in my house. I miss her touch. Coming home from work and just seeing her made all my stress and bad emotions disappear in an instant. On a positive note, a few good things have happened this month. I received the promotion that I really wanted, even if it came at the worst moment of my life. My boss gave me 3 weeks of forced vacation because he is worried about my mental health and how I've been working day and night without taking care of myself. My therapist also advised me to take a few weeks off to clarify my thoughts. Additionally, I'm looking for another house near work because my current place isn't a positive environment and I need a drastic change. So this is where things stand. Unfortunately, I still have thoughts, but I'm working on it, even if it will take time. That's everything for now. I don't think I'll post anything else from now on because there isn't much more to say about my situation except thank you all for your support and private messages. This last post was made about a month ago by a user named My Online Daydream. The post is titled AITA for choosing my best friend's husband's side and not hers. I apologize in advance for this being a long post. I, a 33-year-old female, just ended a long-time friendship with someone who was considered my best friend. We'll call her Delilah. My husband and I have been friends with Delilah and her husband, whom we'll call Kevin, ever since they moved in next door about 5 years ago. They are very mature and the four of us connected pretty quickly. We began hanging out often, having game nights, going camping with each other's families, and being there for one another during significant life events. About 2 years ago, Delilah and Kevin started experiencing marital problems. Delilah confided in me a lot during our girl talk sessions. She told me that he was emotionally abusive, that their fights were constant, and that she felt very lonely. I will say this, Kevin is an amazing person and a great friend, but I don't think he knows how to be an amazing husband. I'm not trying to sound like I know everything, but my husband and I have been married for 13 years, and I feel like we must be doing something right. Anyway, I had no reason to doubt Delilah. She asked me never to say anything to him while she figured things out, and I thought that would be fine since I didn't have any red flags regarding her safety. I also didn't want to possibly make things worse for her by confronting him about anything, so I stayed quiet and focused on just being there for my friend when or if she needed me. Over the last 2 years, Delilah started becoming more distant. It was mostly me, my husband, and Kevin who would hang out together. I know Delilah has other friends and a demanding job, so I wasn't offended by it. However, over time, my husband and I became closer with Kevin. He became really close with our family. They all considered him part of the group and wondered where he would be if Kevin was not at a weekly gathering. Kevin was also best friends with my husband. When Kevin was asked about how he and Delilah were doing, he would always say they were fine and that they were attending counseling, which they were. He never gave us details, and I just figured he was more private about some things, so I didn't pressure him. But we were there to listen when he would vent about Delilah. My husband and I told him we would stay neutral and let them figure things out on their own. We always offered support, but refrained from giving advice because we didn't want to be caught in the middle. A couple of months ago, Delilah, a few other girls, and I went on a girls' trip to Las Vegas. During that trip, Delilah told us how unhappy she had been. She had just had surgery and said that Kevin sent her to stay with a friend post-op because he didn't want to take care of her. She said that he was manipulative, made offensive comments about her body, and she suspected he might be gay. She also mentioned that he was very controlling and would always track her location. When she would come home, he would assume she was cheating on him if she spent longer at a location than she had said she would. It was bizarre because this sounded nothing like Kevin. However, Delilah is a very truthful person, and I have never had any reason not to believe her. All of us girls were there to support her in whatever decision she made, but we all told her that we thought she should divorce him. She asked us not to say anything to him until after the divorce because she didn't want him to retaliate. We reluctantly agreed, and my husband and I told Kevin we were busy over the next month when he asked to come over. Now for the problem. A couple of weeks ago, Delilah went on a camping trip with us. During this trip, I told her that I was having a hard time staying friends with Kevin. He has never done anything to me or my family, but because of girl code, I felt like I couldn't be his friend due to how much he had hurt her. She said, "I don't want him to lose you guys as friends. I don't see why you can't stay friends with him, and I really don't have a problem with it. I also don't believe in girl code, and he didn't do anything to you guys. Kevin is an amazing guy." I took about a week to think about it and then reached out to Kevin. He never responded. About a week later, I received a text message from a random number. It said, "Hey, this is Kevin. I have been trying to contact you and your husband for a while, but I think I am blocked." My husband and I did not block him. While I was responding to Kevin, Delilah called me. She said, "Hey, I need to tell you something. I did something that I am ashamed of. I blocked Kevin on your phone, and I also did it on your husband's phone." I was shocked and didn't know what to say. I asked her, "Does this mean you actually aren't okay with me being friends with him?" She replied, "Selfishly, I want to say yes, but I have to say no." She apologized and said she shouldn't have done it and felt really guilty about it. At first, I was just shocked that she would do something so immature. I said, "It's okay, I'm glad you told me." However, after having some time to think about it, I feel manipulated and the trust is broken. Things are awkward now. My husband and I talked with Kevin, and he mentioned that he went through his phone and found that many of their mutual friends were blocked in his own phone, something he didn't do. His story contradicted everything Delilah had said about him, and he was very hurt that we didn't talk to him. I won't get into all the details, but he thinks that Delilah cheated on him, and ultimately, we believe him. I should also mention that over the last month, Delilah had become radio silent with me. For someone who used to send me daily TikToks and message me all the time, and who loved spending time with us and our kids, she suddenly stopped responding entirely. Kevin was actively trying to prove his innocence when we asked him questions, and his explanations made sense. He missed our family and children and answered all of our questions thoroughly. My gut told me that I was being lied to by her and not him, so I ended the friendship. So, am I the asshole? User Sarah said, "She sounds toxic. Someone who is innocent wouldn't block people on other people's phones. This behavior is very manipulative. She got caught and now she is moving on to find other allies." User Ceramic Savage said, "You are not the asshole. She broke all trust when she went into your phones and blocked Kevin. That is a huge betrayal." To this user, Rambo said, "If someone did that to my phone, I would be furious that she invaded my personal space. You don't do that to someone's phone. How did she manage to get into someone's phone? She is up to something." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.